All right, we get set for the Falcons, and you guys always want to listen to Locked On Falcons with Aaron Freeman. Make that your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. Okay, college football. We had some action going on last night, in case you guys weren't watching. We had Tuesday night games this week, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night, all before we get to Saturday. So, yeah. All right. So we got the college football playoff, top six, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, Oregon, and then LSU, USC, Alabama, and Clemson round out the top 10. All right. I was just looking at some numbers and looking at some strengths of schedule that were out there, trying to figure out and determine, when you get to a situation where you have, these one-loss teams that are there, who's going to have the edge on who else? Now, we know that Ohio State and Michigan are each going to take a loss. Let's assume Georgia wins out. I think that's fair. We know Ohio State and Michigan is going to take a loss. So you're going to have two undefeated teams. That's going to be your 1-2. Okay, that's fair. Now, for Tennessee and LSU, while they have to take care of business on their own, they are 100% rooting for one team this week. That's it. They are absolutely the biggest Alabama fans you could imagine. Why? Because with every extra loss Alabama takes, the Tennessee win over Bama loses luster. The LSU win over Bama loses luster. Conversely, Ole Miss, who's playing Alabama, is rooting like hell for Arkansas. If Arkansas upsets LSU and Ole Miss gets a win, Ole Miss is now in the driver's seat to represent the SEC West in the SEC title game. So Tennessee and LSU are huge Alabama fans. And guess what? They're also huge Texas fans. Why? Because they're playing TCU. Giving TCU a loss likely would knock them out of the playoff, even if they come back and win the Big 12. Right? That kind of just is the way it goes. And when you look at strength of schedule and what we're looking at here, crazy to believe that outside of, Hendon Hooker and Bryce Young, as from a Heisman standpoint, I should say Tennessee and Alabama have some of the toughest schedules that they're playing, right? KJ Jefferson, Arkansas, another Heisman candidate, theoretically. The SEC clearly has a tougher schedule. You know who actually has a tougher schedule than anybody's giving credit for? Oregon. No one wants to talk about that. But anyway, TCU has a strength of schedule that's 68th, which, again, Tennessee has a better one from. Ohio State has a better one from. And Michigan is like right there in the low 70s on the strength of schedule. And I say all this to say that if TCU has a loss, Tennessee has a loss, okay? And let's just say, for argument's sake, Alabama loses this week. There's an argument that, in my opinion, two teams from the same conference get in, but it ain't the SEC. It's the Big Ten. Right? I mean, we can concede that two teams from the same conference can get in. Why wouldn't it be the Big Ten? Well, you want to sit there and talk about their show. Oh, they haven't played anybody. Not according to their strength of schedule FPI. Ohio State is a 53rd, and Michigan is a 74th. By the way, just for reference, Georgia has the 47th. TCU is the 68th. So if they're a one-loss team, if that matters. I mean, these are all things that you have to kind of consider. And for my money, the more I think about it, if Alabama loses this week, Tennessee would, in my opinion, and should be out over a one-loss Michigan or a one-loss Ohio State. In fact, I'd take Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and if TCU wins out, they get in. If they don't and Oregon wins out, Oregon gets in. And I think that's your top four. Now, if USC wins out, their only loss is to Utah, but, Utah is probably going to take a third loss here to Oregon next week. So I think right now, depending on the outcome of this week, if Alabama loses, you're better off with two Big Ten teams in than two SEC teams in. Ohio State and Michigan being there is better than Georgia and Tennessee being there, at least according to the strength of schedule. So there's that. Just something to chew on, just something to think about. I think it's worthwhile. Anyway, all right, we got to get to Shovels of Wisdom as well as the Atlanta Hawks and what happened last night against the Utah Jazz. But a reminder about my friends at Built Bar. Have you guys tried Built Bar Puffs yet? If not, you are depriving yourself of one of the tastiest, sweetest, most delicious, healthy treats you could ever imagine. And they have a brand new flavor. It's cookie dough chunk. Real chunks of cookie dough, 100% chocolate, a whopping 16 grams of protein, 160 calories. I mean, this is just absolutely the perfect snack for you guys on the go, in between meals, late at night. You know, it Built has done an amazing job at making something that tastes good and is healthy for you. So go to built.com, get a box for yourself, stick it in the office drawer at work, hide it from the kids, whatever you need to do. Built.com, use the promo code LOCKEDON15. Again, promo code locked on 15. You'll get 15% off your first order. Make sure you check out the Built Bar Puffs cookie dough chunk flavor. It is delicious.